You just join me in a moment of reflection from my minister.
Last night, I went to see my friend Stanley. I met Stanley when I was training to be vicar, and I spent 2 years on placement at his church. You will never meet Stanley. He will never be famous. He will never get awards and honours. But he should do, because for 40 years, Stanley has been the verger at Ray Green Parish Church. For 40 years, he's served his church. He's the one who cleans up, unlocks, locks up again, who does all the behind the scenes stuff, who turns up to every funeral, wedding and christening for 40 years. He's won the Best Churchyard in Lancashire award on several occasions, and he's now the recipient of some Britain in Bloom competition winnings as well. And it's all thanks to his hard work, his hours of dedication, commitment and hard work. We had a special service to celebrate 40 years of being the verger, and the bishop came. The vicar quite rightly said that every church needs a Stanley. And I think not just every church, but every organisation, every group needs a Stanley. Someone who embodies what it means to be a good citizen, who is prepared to put in the hours, the work, the graft for no rewards, and will do so without complaining. Someone who models what it means to be loyal, faithful, and steadfast in whatever they are called to do. And I hope that you can think of someone who is the Stanley equivalent in your world and your community as I talk. The person who models what Jesus commanded when he told us we must love our neighbours as ourselves. And through his illustration, Jesus showed that our neighbours are the people close to us, the people we like, the people like us, but also more importantly, the people we don't like and the people who aren't like us very much at all. All of our neighbours matter. I believe that all of them have been created in the image of God and have status, dignity, worth and potential. And therefore all of them need to be seen as my neighbour, someone who I can love and serve, care for and be alongside in good times and in bad. And I wonder where and how God has placed you to be like Stanley, to love and to serve other people as you love yourself. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for your boundless love and for the example of Jesus, who taught us to love our neighbours as ourselves. Help us to see our neighbours through your eyes, recognising their worth and potential. Grant each one of us the ability to empathise with their struggles and their joys, and to offer them comfort and support when needed. Inspire us, Lord, to act with kindness and compassion, to be a source of strength and help to those around us. Guide our words and actions, so we may reflect your love and grace in all that we do. Thank you for the opportunity you give us to serve and love our neighbours as ourselves. Amen.
Thank you, Han. Please be seated. Good evening, everyone. Can I just say before we start the meeting in full, members may be aware or they may not be aware that this is our monitoring officer's last meeting with us. Was that a cheer? Okay. Right. Yeah, and I'd like to thank Chris personally for his hard work that he does and for the work he's done with me as the mayor. And I just wondered if other people wanted to comment, to say anything. Could they please put themselves forward? I've got Councillor Alty.
Thank you. I'm really happy to stand and say I'm going to miss you. I think you've been an absolute brilliant monitoring officer for as long as I've known, and in the few short years that I've been councillor here, you've been nothing but supportive. You've given information when it's been needed. You've anticipated information, which is always welcome. But the silliest thing that I absolutely will always remember was your introduction to Speak Like a Pirate Day. So whilst that doesn't go down in the annals of professional history, it will sit with me for a long time, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Alty. Councillor Jane Bell.
Thank you. Well, what can I say? I can remember being the mayor, and I had this little helper on the little helper. I'm sorry about that. I had this little helper on my right-hand side who helped me through all the council meetings. And every time I didn't know what I was doing, I kept saying, "What do you do now?" And I go, "Such and such and such." Thank you very much. Well, and I sounded ever so good. And it was only because Chris was telling me in my right ear what I was doing. And it was such a joy. And we did have some giggles, didn't we? So thank you so much for that support. But we did also have a lot of private conversations on these machines, didn't we? You know, when I was still in my 90, you know, we did all. And he wasn't in his, I was at home, sorry, and he was, I was at home and he was in the office and we were on technology, and it wasn't rude at all. No, but Chris, thanks so much. You made my job as mayor so much easier and such fun. And I wish you every success in what you're going to be doing.
Thank you, Councillor Bell.
Okay, my love.
Can we have Councillor Colin Sharples, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do, of course, have fond memories of my time on governance. And I'm particularly grateful to Chris for all the help and support he gave me while I was chair of governance. It made my job as chair very much easier. Thank you very much for that. And can I take this opportunity to wish you all the best in your new role?
Thank you, Councillor Sharples. Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, Chris, thank you so much for all your hard work and commitment on keeping all us members of South Ribble in check over the past few years. I'm sure it's been quite an arduous task. And for all your advice, not of all that we've actually taken, but we do wish you all the best in whatever you do in the future, and we will miss you. So take care. Thank
you, Councillor Walton. Could I have Councillor Wesley Roberts, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't cheer about the announcement, Chris. I was quite sad to see you go. I'm pleased you're a governance geek. I remember on one of my first training sessions, I was talking to you about the culture in the organisation, about how transparent it was, about people bringing up issues in the area so then we can actually solve them. And it was from that moment I joined governance. I've always appreciated your time. And I appreciate the support you've given, even at times where we might have disagreed, but that we've had that professional challenge where we can actually focus on the solution to try and make this authority stronger in a governance space. So with that, I wish you and your family well.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Margaret Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say we will miss you. We've had our ups and downs and we haven't always agreed, but at the end of the day we've all come out smiling, which has been the main thing. Your work on the Constitution has been very hard work, and I'm sorry that you're not going to be there to finish it off on the 2nd of April or whatever it is, which is a great shame. But we will try our very best to make sure that it goes through properly, and you will be proud of us. So, like everyone else, I wish you all the best in your new position, and hopefully you won't have too many trials going there and back, which has obviously been a lot simpler for you to come here than where you're going. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoy your new position and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith, for that. So, do you want to say a few words, Chris? Or no, you're all right then. So I'd like to say from all the council, thank you very much for the work you've done for us, and hope things go well for you. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to this meeting of the council, and I'll start with some domestic arrangements for the meeting. Due to the regulations surrounding voting, only those members physically present are able to vote. Mobile devices, please ensure that all electronic equipment is either on silent mode or switched off completely. There are no planned fire alarms this evening, so if it does go off, please leave via the emergency exits. The meeting is being live streamed during open session for members of the public to watch. If you would like to speak, please press your microphone to let me know when, to let me know that you obviously want to speak, and when I invite you to the to speak, your microphones will be red. Please do not obstruct your mouth when you're speaking, so that anyone lip reading can also understand what you're saying. If anyone is having issues, please let Democratic Services know. Some points of procedure for members. Members asking the question have a maximum of 3 minutes and may ask one supplementary question directly related to the original question, but not more than 2 minutes. A member who has spoken once on a motion may not speak again while it is being debated, except in specific circumstances. Unless I give permission for members to remain seated, when a member speaks at council, he or she must stand and address the meeting through the mayor, if they're able to do so. And also, individual members of the public will be restricted to speaking for a total of 5 minutes during the whole meeting. And I move on to item 1, apologies for absence.
Apologies being received from Councillor Hancock and Councillor Hindle-Taylor.
Thank you for that. Item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members? No. Okay. Item 3, minutes of meeting Wednesday, the 5th of March, 2025. Please note the minutes have been updated since publication to correct a typing error that had been pointed out. To correct a typing error under minutes silence. This item is for a decision. And can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Olty, to propose?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to propose that the minutes be accepted as they're stated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the points of accuracy at all? No. So can we take a vote for, against, or abstentions? Okay, that's been carried. Thank you. We move on to item 4, my mayoral announcements. Can I just start off by thanking everyone who has supported myself and the mayoress. I know it's not over yet, but this is my final council meeting before the mayor making. So I would just like to thank everyone for the help that I've received from everyone. And I have such fond memories of where we've been and what we've done. Since the last council meeting, I've attended again a number of engagements right across the borough and some outside of the borough. I've attended the COVID Day of Reflection, which was quite emotional for lots of people who were there. I've attended in Blackpool the Let's Go Sing at the Winter Gardens, where there was about 600 or 700 children all singing their hearts out, which was again very enlightening. I've been to the No Whispers annual celebration event, which again was very thought upsetting as well as thought provoking, but well worth attending. And I've also just come back from the High Sheriff of Lancashire's afternoon of history at Lancashire Castle, which was excellent. The number of hangings that went on over the years and how they did it and what they did, it's frightening to think of how they do it now compared to what we do these days. But it really was enjoyable. So I'd just like to say thanks to everyone, and we'll move forward now. Thank you. To item 5, this is for noting. Can I please ask the Leader of the Council, Jackie Olty, to present it?
Sorry, so it's okay. Tune back in. I'd just like to report back on the meeting of the Cabinet on the 12th of March, where we confirmed the Tardygate Play Area award for contract, which means that come the end of summer, there'll be a lovely play area. Also, we dealt with the environmental crime policy, the Penworth and Master Plan construction procurement strategy, which means that is progressing also, and the Penworth and Master Plan design team procurement strategy, REBA stages 5 to 7. I think all told it was a productive meeting, and there are members from across the borough who will benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Olty. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council? No. Any questions from members of the public? No. Okay. So that has been noted. Thank you. Item 6, urgent decisions, and this is for noting. And can I please ask Councillor Olty to present the report?
Thank you. There was just one urgent decision, and that was on the 10th of March. Required information from Lancashire County Council regarding the monies available to fund the HAF activity delivery plan. So we needed to make the decision in order to ensure that the Easter HAF programme proceeded, and we have now got that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? No. Any questions from members of the public? Okay, that's noted. Thank you. Item 7, the Governance Committee, and this is again for noting. Can I please ask the Vice Chair of the committee, Councillor Peter Gabbett, to present the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everything's already in the report, so I'd just like to recommend that Council notes the report in full.
Is that seconded? Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Okay. That again has been noted. Thank you. Move to item 8, which is a Corporate Performance and Budget Scrutiny Committee. This again is for noting. Can I please ask the Chair of the committee, Councillor Pete Pillinger, to present the report? Thank you.
Report is as recorded in the minutes, and I present the report for noting.
Thank you for that. Is that seconded?
Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions from the council members? No. Any questions from members of the public? No, we're doing well tonight. Thank you. Okay, then that's noted. Thank you. Move to item 9, Community and External Scrutiny Committee. This item's for noting. Can I please ask the Chair of the Committee, Councillor Matt Campbell, to present the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to present the report of the Community and External Scrutiny Committee meeting from Monday the 17th of March 2025. The report can be found on page 19 of the agenda. I ask Council to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is that seconded?
I'll second that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for members of the council? Oh, any questions, members of the public? Okay, that's noted. Thank you. Item 10, Standards Committee. Again, for noting, can I please ask the Chair of the Committee, Councillor James Gleeson, to present the report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, the Standards Committee met on the 19th of March with councillors, officers and independent persons in attendance. At the meeting, the Deputy Monitoring Officer, Tasneem Safdar, presented the Standards Update Report, which reviewed the complaints against the councillors and the progress of these complaints. It was noted that the overall conduct and behaviour in the meetings has improved, with discussions generally remaining focused on the issues in hand. I draw your attention to item number 7, which highlights that 2 complaints were raised regarding councillors' equality duties. One has been found to have no breach and the other is currently under review. Additionally, the Deputy Monitoring Officer confirmed that the mandatory equality and diversity training for all members will be held on Monday the 24th of March with an alternative session on Thursday the 3rd of April. Our follow-up session will be arranged for those unable to attend. I strongly encourage all councillors to attend at least one of these sessions. I commend this report to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Is that seconded? Thank you for that. From members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Okay, then, that's been noted. Thank you. We move to item 11, local government reorganisation and devolution. And this item has been withdrawn at the request of the leader. And I accept that, but I've got to say that I'm very disappointed that that has been taken out at the last minute. This item being removed at the last minute by the leader I'm not happy with at all. This item would have allowed the council to debate and discuss that situation, and seem to be that just because we're talking about having a meeting in a week's 2's time, to me is not acceptable. I appreciate that the leader's done that, but from my point of view, I am not happy at all. It's not giving the chance for this council or for residents of this borough to have their say or understand what's going on. It's almost like it's just being suppressed. So that is my view. I'm not happy about it, but as I say, I accept it. So now we're going to move on now to item 12, which is inequality costs, final report of the Inequalities Scrutiny Test Group. And this again is an item for noting. Can I please ask the chair of the task group, Councillor Leslie Pritchard, to present the report? Thank you.
I'm pleased to present the Inequalities Cost Report to Council this evening. The key findings and recommendations are based on a comprehensive literature review and in-depth conversations both within South Ribble and across our partnerships. The literature review also contained 2 previous scrutiny reports. The review process evidenced an ongoing and determined commitment to tackle inequalities across the borough, and we were very pleased to see this. An example of this being the introduction of the social prescribing service, which was recommended in a previous scrutiny report chaired by Councillor Howarth. Our recommendations reflect the fact that we aren't starting from scratch here. This is a continuing, moving process. So the recommendations, you'll notice, majority of them talk about further strengthening, talks about ongoing work, and reflects the fact that we want to continue to develop. But there are some other new recommendations within there that relate to new ways of working. And these specifically contribute to our corporate equality strategy and also corporate priorities, especially around opportunities for everybody. These examples would be to include improving ward profiles, reviewing the digital strategy, creating a citizens panel and an equalities forum. I'd like to thank my fellow Scrutiny Task Group members. I've certainly enjoyed taking part in this review throughout the year. I'd also like to thank my colleagues on the Communities and External Scrutiny Group who received and agreed the report in January. I'd like to thank the staff from the Democratic Services Group for their invaluable work throughout the review period, and also to all staff, both from within South Ribble and across our partnerships, for taking the time to help us to reach our recommendations. And I recommend this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Is that seconded? Thank you. Are there any questions from council members? Councillor Lou Jackson.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank officers and my fellow colleagues as we spent many hours in research into this work on the Scrutiny Review Task Group. We took on the information and we identified existing and future work that could be carried out on equalities and supporting the determinants of health here in South Ribble. To my fellow councillors, we hope that you find the data and the ward profiles we produce useful to aid where areas of need may be found in your wards. As the aims of the scrutiny review, inequality costs, was to aid us all, council and partners, to reduce inequalities and improve quality of life in South Ribble. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for that. No other questions from members of the council. Any questions from members of the public? No? Okay, thank you. That's noted. And we now move to item 13, notice of motion. Can I please ask Councillor Matthew Forshaw to present the notice of motion? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, it gives me no great pleasure having to bring this motion this evening, but the refusal of the leader to do what I think is right forces my hand. So I'll read the motion out for the benefit of people tuning in. The motion is that Council believes that the victims of child grooming gangs deserve justice, and so many have never had their voices heard. At present, the government has not agreed to hold a full national inquiry. This is unacceptable, and a full national public inquiry should be held urgently. And what we're voting on is to resolve that, to request the leader of the council, writes to the Home Secretary, to urge us to establish a national inquiry into grooming gangs, to include a comprehensive review of any grooming gang activity in South Ribble, the wider county of Lancashire, and across the United Kingdom. This inquiry should include an assessment of the lasting impact upon victims and survivors and how they can be supported. So this isn't politics, this is people's lives. Young underage girls, often groomed, drugged, plied with alcohol, raped, often repeatedly by numerous men, some made pregnant, some losing their babies due to their extremely young age, and others having to go through traumatic abortions as young as 12 or 13. Now, figures and statistics are difficult to obtain for South Ribble alone, which is why you would think as an elected member it shouldn't be. So you can assume if you're a member of the public, it would be practically impossible to find out if this has been or is still happening in South Ribble. We know Preston has been identified as one of the areas where it has been, and anyone with rationale can understand that grooming gang activity would not stop at the River Ribble and is exclusive to just Preston. This is why we need a national inquiry to obtain the facts, hold both the perpetrators and the people in authority who may have ignored or even covered up this up, but more importantly, to get justice for the victims. A national inquiry will hold people accountable in a way other inquiries have not. I'm just going to cover a few points because I know the leader likes statistics. It is believed no one in authority has ever been held accountable for failings. The word Asian was purposely and misleadingly used to blur the lines from the real perpetrators. A national debate has not happened in the fear of being called racist. Police and authorities argue children as young as 13 consented to sex. Priority was given to the perpetrators, human rights over the victims. Charities and support groups had extensive information on grooming gang activity, but the authorities ignored them. The truth was censored by hiding behind equality and diversity. Keir Starmer even admitted when he was put Director of Public Prosecutions that they had failed victims. So I'll finish on this. If you refuse for a second time in as many months to write to your Secretary and ask for a national inquiry into grooming gangs, I have to ask you this. Why would anyone want to make lives already under enormous pressure more fearful? What is the desired outcome?
Thank you, Councillor Forshaw. Is that seconded?
Reserve the right to speak.
Okay, thank you for that. Got Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm always very conscious that when I'm in here, I am a South Ribble Borough Councillor, and I'm here to discuss issues that affect the borough in which we live and our residents, and to avoid at all costs, if we can, talking about national issues. So I've never been a supporter of some people in my group who might want to talk about international issues, and I'm not in favour of us discussing national issues unless we can show there's a direct impact on the people of South Ribble, because that's who we are here to represent. So I do want to get this exactly right. So if you'll forgive me, because my wording's just gone. So I would like to move, Mr. Mayor, that this motion be referred to the Community and External Scrutiny Committee as allowed by the Constitution under paragraph 14.6a of Standing Orders, which states any amendment to a motion must be referred and may be so to refer the matter to an appropriate body or an individual for consideration. In those considerations, I propose that the Scrutiny Committee consider how that committee can best evaluate the risk of grooming and child sexual exploitation to children across South Ribble, having evaluated the level of risk that exists to our children, to then explore how this council can be confident it is playing its part in ensuring that all possible protections are being offered by the wide range of organisations that work with children across our borough. And then, having formed a view on the issue within South Ribble, that the chair of the Community and External Scrutiny Committee reports back to full council with his committee's findings, including any recommendations for further reducing the risk of child sexual exploitation for South Ribble children, and whether the council ought to call for a national inquiry to this issue. And I'm happy to move that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Tomlinson, thank you for that. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you. Councillor Walton, do you want to speak?
Complete amendment of the notice of motion, which is completely negates to me our original motion. We need to ask for an adjournment, please, to consider it.
Councillor Walton, yes, I'm willing to give you some time to discuss that, but can I just make it clear that what we're talking about now is not getting rid of that notice of motion. It's moving the notice of motion to be discussed at the committee meeting rather than that. So just to put you in the picture, that's as I see it anyway. But I'll give you 10 minutes, quarter of an hour to discuss it. Thank you. Are we all back now? Can you please sit down, please? Okay, we've had that recess. Are we any comments from that, please? Councillor Walton, do you want to speak? Councillor Forshaw.
Sorry, they seem to have turned me off. We've had a discussion as a group and we decided we can't accept the amendment because we've had nearly 20 years of kicking it into the long grass with no action. And what we're asking for now is a national inquiry. We're asking you to write to the Home Secretary. I think to a committee that doesn't have the power to compel authorities to attend to give evidence is not the answer.
Move to the vote then. There's nobody else has anything to say.
As is Councillor Michael Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't intending speaking on this motion this evening, but I do speak on the amendment proposed by Councillor Tomlinson, which Councillor Tomlinson is right in quoting from section 14.6 of our standing orders. But what he's omitted to do is to make reference to the last line, which is contained in 14.6, which clearly states, as long as the effect of the amendment is not to negate the motion or introduce a new proposal. This is exactly what this amendment is set out to do. The motion is asking for us to write to the Home Secretary to recommend a certain course of action. It is very clear, it's very tightly drafted, and to introduce an amendment of this nature is clearly designed to negate the purpose of that motion, and it introduces a new proposal. So I would think it fails on both those grounds in my humble submission. The new proposal to actually kick it to a scrutiny committee, and I've long been a member of scrutiny committees at South Hibble and seriously value the work that scrutiny can play. But without any disrespect to any colleagues who may be members of that scrutiny committee, is this an appropriate body to discuss something as serious as child sexual exploitation? Would that committee have the set of skills required? And would that committee have the right to force people to come and give evidence? Well, the answer to that is no. As a scrutiny committee, we can request external bodies to come and speak to a scrutiny committee, but we cannot demand it. This is an issue of such significant importance that there needs to be a full inquiry, which is exactly the purpose why Councillor Forshaw set out the motion. The amendment before us is designed to negate that motion, and it's designed to introduce a new proposal. On those bases, in my humble submission, the amendment should not be accepted this evening, and the debate should take place on the original motion before us. And if Councillor Tomlinson doesn't agree with that motion, he is, of course, free to vote as he thinks appropriate. But I don't think this amendment should be valid for the reasons I've set out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Tomlinson, have you anything to say on that?
Mr. Mayor, I would expect to be brought back at the end, but if you want me to answer individual points, I'm more than happy to do so. I have to say that were I the chair of the External Scrutiny Committee, or indeed a member of that committee, I'd be really disappointed that Councillor Green doesn't have confidence in me to carry out this important work on behalf of the people of South Ribble. The proposal before you is within the Constitution. It does not negate. It does not negate the motion, because the very final line in my proposal says that that committee should come back to us with recommendations on whether we should write to the government. So that is not a negation. Whether someone wants to argue it is, it quite simply is not. And I would suggest we get on and vote on the proposal I put before the council this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. I tend to agree that it doesn't negate, and so therefore I think we should just move to the vote. Okay.
Recorded vote. So it's a vote on the amendment.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a vote on the amendment put forward by Councillor Tomlinson and seconded.
Councillor Green, have you been invited to speak by the Mayor? Are you standing? No. Thank you. No, I'm not. Thank you.
There was no other.
Councillor Smith is.
He wasn't there before, was he?
No, okay.
I'll let Councillor Smith speak then.
It is meeting.
Councillor Smith.
There we are. I did have this on some good while ago before Councillor Tomlinson has summed up, I suppose, to be quite honest. So we're a bit out of order here, I have to say. But I did have, I think, I wasn't going to speak on this, a bit like Councillor Green, to be quite honest. It's, I suppose, a bit out of most people's comfort zone. But I do believe this negates the original motion. You've obviously ruled on it now. So... Mr. Mayor, am I still speaking? Or,
well, I did say.
Stop trying to be polite. I mean, he didn't ask for
anything. Okay. I did say that I didn't think it negated it. So your opinion, I understand that, but I did rule that. Yeah. So, but if that's what it's about, I just want to move to the vote.
No, that's not what it's about, Mr.
Sorry?
That is not what it's about, Mr. Mayor.
What's it about then?
It's not about whether it's negated or not. The decision is already made. I just wanted to make a point, and this is exactly what happened in the various areas of Rochdale, and name the other areas if you like. Exactly what happened, that it was kicked down the road for year after year after year, and more of this abuse went on year after year. When this goes to scrutiny, this is a very, very big piece of work, and whether they're qualified or not, they will have to draft in help, and significant help, from various areas. This will take years to sort out. So.
Okay, right.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I did not jump in at you, and I did not speak against. I'm sorry it went out of order, so I'm having my say whether you like it or whether you don't like it.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Right. Can we move to the vote? This is on the amendment. Okay, that's gone through. Thank you.
Always votes against it.
Okay. Not really with that. No. Can we now move to question 14? Questions to the Leader of the Council. Chris, can you speak?
Okay, so Standing Order 14.8. If any amendment is carried, then the motion as amended takes the place of the original motion. This becomes the substantive motion to which any further amendments are moved. As the amendment which was carried is to refer the matter to the scrutiny committee. That is the action.
Okay, thank you. We move to item 14, questions to the Leader of the Council. Councillor Karen Walton.
At the last council meeting, I asked a question concerning the submission by the 21st of March 2025 to the government for the potential structures of local government reorganisation in Lancashire. Your response was that local government reorganisation was happening regardless of individual views, and confirmed that she would bring a paper for review and debate when it was appropriate to do so. Agenda item 11 of the council agenda tonight was an opportunity for members to debate this important issue and provide the council with an update on the emerging process for local government reorganisation. This item, as we know, has been withdrawn from the meeting tonight at short notice, and a member briefing has been organised so that the issue can be discussed in private behind closed doors. All members have been provided with a copy of the letter sent to the Minister of State and signed by all 15 local authorities in Lancashire, including the Leader of South Ribble. We are being silenced as elected members who represent our residents on the future of South Ribble Borough Council, and we feel strongly that members have been denied an opportunity to debate, discuss and explore the numerous issues in the detail at a council meeting. Can the Leader assure this council that all members will be allowed a debate at council in the very near future on this important issue?
Sorry, Councillor Olsen. I can't hear you very well.
With permission, I'd like to sit for the remainder of this meeting when I'm talking. Yes, there will be. After we've had a briefing, there will be an opportunity in the near future to debate the issues in-house. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Matthew Forshaw.
Leader, are you aware if any of your Labour councillors receiving free tickets for Music in the Park in 2024?
Councillor Olsen.
I'm not aware of anybody getting free tickets. I wasn't in the business at that point. I wasn't leader. If leaders do sometimes give discretionary or complimentary, but I wasn't aware of anything then. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Forshaw. Supplementary.
I can tell you that they did. And I have an example. Now, one of your councillors received 5 free VIP tickets at a cost to the taxpayer of £375. When you consider that last year's losses for the event was propped up by the taxpayer to the tune of over £150,000, it is your Labour group that votes through the event every year. Then they receive VIP tickets. That smells like a complete scandal to me. Also noting that the member has not declared them on their register of interests. What is there to hide? It's also worth mentioning that if the monitoring officer's advice had been sought at the time, he would have advised to record them. This is what gets me about the hypocrisy of Labour. 1 minute they're having selfies at food banks, purporting to care about residents. The next, they're partying and shipping champagne in the VIP area at the expense of the taxpayer. You should all be ashamed of yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, can I just say, Councillor Forshaw, this is questions. This is questions to the Leader, not a debate. Okay, can I have Sorry? I can't hear what you're saying.
I'll add on to what I just said. Does she agree or disagree with everything I've just said?
Councillor Halsey.
Explained that I didn't know about anything. And actually, when did that information come to you that you claim you have? When did the information come to you? Can you tell me?
If she wants to swap seats and ask me questions, she's more than welcome to.
Okay, can I just say that I find his behaviour uncivil, and I have offered on numerous occasions to everybody in this council that if you have concerns about standards of behaviour, code of conduct, Nolan principles, or even policy or procedures, please come and see me. If you have been holding on to information for some time in order to use it this evening, that's despicable. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Halsey. I think Councillor Halsey's answered. She said she doesn't know about anything like that. If you do, Councillor Forshaw, I suggest you do put that forward. So thank you for that. We move on to item 15, questions to Cabinet members. Yeah, apologies, I'm jumping the gun there. It's any questions for the leader from members of the public? And that's Mr. Yates.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name's Barry Yates. I'm a South Ribble Borough resident. Would the leader agree that it would be best for Lancashire residents to stick to the government's agreed Lancashire Combined Authority, which would result in saving £45.3 million? Second question is, would the leader agree to keeping the agreed Lancashire Combined Authority would be best for our residents of Lancashire to keep their local name and identity by retaining all 12 councils? Or would the leader prefer all the councils to be scrapped to make way for several combined authorities?
Thank you for that. There are no other members of the public speaking. Councillor Halsey, do you want to reply?
Thank you for your question. On the first question about wasting money, well, I think Lancashire County Council do a really good job of that already, given that we're now in an election period for something that may not be here, actually will not be here in about 3 years' time. So we've got good evidence that that's not a good use of taxpayers' money. Would we be better staying as a county combined authority? As it presently is organised, then no, because actually you removed the 12 voices of the district councils and gave them an advisory position only, so that we were not in any sort of control over strategic measures, and actually the direction would be determined by 4 individuals who sat with voting rights on the CCA. So no. Would I have chosen the route? I don't know. Until we've got the facts in, until we've got the figures, and until we've got the structure, I don't know what I prefer, but I know I do not prefer the CCA model.
Hold on a second. Council, Mr. Yates, just hold on a second. I was just going to say, do you want to come back? Thank you.
I didn't say you waste the money when I was talking about the 45.3 million. What I was saying, that I said was saving. It was a saving that it would make if it was kept as Lancashire Combined Authority. I got this information, and that's the only reason I fetched it up tonight.
Mr. Yates,
because I read it from the Lancashire Post.
Mr. Yates, we're after a question, not a statement.
Yes, well, I've answered that. She got my first question.
I would like a question.
Yeah, she got my first question wrong, so I'd like an answer to the first question.
Thank you. Okay. To come back, Councillor Alty, have you had enough?
I've no other answer. The fact is, at the end of the day, we have no voting rights on a CCA, and that is desperately needed if we are to direct our future. So whether you consider it a waste of money or a saving of money or whatever that variable is that you've thrown in there, the fact remains, at the end of the day, we don't have a choice because it is going to be imposed. It's better to be part of the journey, driving and making the direction choices, than it is to sit waiting to be done to. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And we move on to item 15, question. Where did he bloody come from? Mr. Derbyshire. Where did he come from?
Right. Before I ask the question of Councillor Alty, can I just quote two principles called the Nolan Principles about the accountability. Holders of public office are accountable to the public for the decisions and actions and must submit themselves to the scrutiny and necessary to ensure this. The second one, openness. Holders of public office should act and take decisions in an open and transparent manner. Information should not be withheld from the public unless there's a clear and lawful reason for doing so. This is why I fully agree with you, Mr. Mayor. Cancelling, I think it was number 11 on the agenda, it's an absolute disgrace. This council and the council in Lancashire are making some very big decisions, and when they're not allowed to be in the open council, that's a disgrace. That's a comment, I'm sorry. Right, questions now, questions. Councillor Alty, in the post I received my race bill and at the same time an election flyer on behalf of permanent Liberals. My rates bill indicated I have to pay Lancashire County Council a 5% rise, which includes adult and care provision. South Ribble a 3% rise. But astonishing, Pemberton Town Council, a Liberal and Labour clique, a rise of 42.9%. Apparently, sorry, are you interrupting me? No, I didn't realise that, sorry. But astonishing, Pemberton Town Council, a Labour Liberal clique, a rise of 42.9%. Apparently there's no cap on Town Council rates. What a shame, Councillor Thomas, you haven't got the same rights. Unbelievable, unbelievably, the Liberal flyer ranted on about the Conservatives hiking the tax bill, without mentioning the hike in the Pemberton bill. Do you agree with me, Councillor Alty, that if unfettered rate rises were allowed, Labour and the Liberal parties are not to be trusted? If given a free ride, as with Pemberton, they couldn't run a Whelkstall, never mind a financial fair council. Right. And being ungenerous as a Whelkstall holder, if no, give reasons.
Maybe Mr. Derbyshire, if he took a bit more notice, might understand that the Liberal Democrats on Pemberton Town Council voted against that precept increase, and there is no cosy relationship between us and the Labour Party.
Right. Oh, okay.
The decision was taken by that council, which you are a member of. Okay? What's that got to do with it?
Can I stop members from speaking out of turn? Thank you.
Right, could I have an answer, please?
Right. Councillor Alty, could you answer? Thank you.
Would Mr. Derbyshire please put that in writing so that I can answer him more fully? Thank you.
I've got to say, Mr. Derbyshire, you did say quite a lot there, and I would agree with the leader. If you can put that, if you can get that in writing, you can answer that better. Okay, so thank you very much. So we have no other speakers. So can we move to item 15, questions to Cabinet members? This is for question for the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member, Communities and Housing, Councillor Anyala Bilinski-Gelder. Are there any questions from members of the Council? No. Any questions from members of the public? No. Can we move on to questions to the Cabinet Member Finance, Assets and Commercialisation, Councillor Matthew Tomlinson? It's not for
2 minutes left.
Mr. Derbyshire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I did send you an email, Councillor Tomlinson, about the Worden Hall. Yes? No? No. Did you receive my email? Right, okay, right then, fair enough. Councillor Tomlinson, after watching your 2023 speech from the roof of Worden Hall in relation to the modernisation of the hall for business, can you provide me with the following information? What is the total capital cost to modernise the hall and its associated infrastructure? And 2, what are the running costs and revenue for the 23-24, 24-25 and an estimated for the 25-26 year? I have a second question. Can you answer that one first, please?
Councillor Tomlinson, can you answer that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as someone who genuinely encourages public participation in democracy, can I say what a joy it is to see you back in the council chamber, Mr. Derbyshire? Your questions are always appreciated. You did email me, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. I don't have those figures to hand, but I'm happy to get you a written response.
Thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. Mr. Derbyshire, your second question, right?
What are we doing? The government controls the amount you can raise SBC's rates, but it doesn't stop you from raising specific duties. For example, a second garden waste bin collection. You have raised that rate from £50 to £60, a massive ride of 20%. I have not had time to check other specific rate rises, but I imagine you may have done a similar rise for those services. This I consider to be a backdoor way of dragging hard-earned cash from hard-pressed residents. Do you agree with me this is a disgrace and you should reconsider the appalling garden waste bin rise? If not, why not?
Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. The point, first of all, the first point I will make is we are the second cheapest garden waste collection authority in Lancashire, even after the rise, the second cheapest. And that's something we should rightly be proud of. We do have discretion on a range of fees and charges, and we have to target those, one, to make sure that those increases are reasonable, but are achievable. And the garden waste is discretionary. No one is forced to have a garden waste collection. If you don't want to have the brown bin and you think it's too expensive, then stop having it, and you can save the money. Well, if your garden's big enough to have 2 bins, aren't you a very lucky man, frankly? But if you don't want, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I should refer to you and I apologise. If people don't want to pay the extra for the brown bin, they are at liberty to cancel their direct debit and dispose of their green waste another way. What people are not at liberty to do is to avoid paying council tax. Everybody pays council tax, even those who are struggling. And whilst we run this council, we will do everything we can to protect people from council tax increases that they cannot afford and cannot avoid. The charge for the brown bin, garden waste, however you like to describe it, has just gone up to £30. 8 years ago, it was £25. So with inflation, I think that £30 is still a relatively fair choice. It still remains the second cheapest in the whole of Lancashire. And I refer to the point I made earlier. If anyone in this borough thinks that is not a good deal, they are absolutely at liberty to cancel their direct debit and make their own arrangements.
Thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. Mr. Derbyshire, Councillor Tomlinson's answered. That's finished with. Thank you very much. You've asked him to answer it, and he's answered. So let's leave it at that. Thank you. All right, we're moving on. Thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. The questions for the Cabinet Member, Customer Services and Digital, Councillor Colin Sharples. Any questions from council members? No. Any questions from members of the public? Okay. Thank you. Can we move on for Cabinet Member, Economic Growth, Planning and Investment, Councillor Ian Watkinson. Councillor David Howarth.
Would the Cabinet Member agree with me that the Penrith Master Plans and the Leyland Town Deal are exciting developments to greatly improve our public realm? And would he also agree that when these developments take place, we must be cognizant of the needs of and challenges to the visually impaired and the disabled who face daily challenges in negotiating our town and district centres? Would he then give a commitment to adopt the Lancashire Street Charter and for South Ribble Borough Council to become a signatory to it?
Councillor Watkinson.
Very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Howard, for bringing this forward and asking that question. I do agree with you. I think anything that we can do to remove or reduce barriers for our disabled people in the borough, and you're particularly talking about visually impaired, is important. And with those exciting developments that you've made reference to, and let's add Jubilee Gardens on top of that as well, I'll do whatever I can to look at how we can bring this forward formally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the public? No, thank you. Move on. Questions to Cabinet Member, Culture, Community Wealth Building and Licensing, Councillor Matthew Farnworth. Councillor Will King.
Thank you. At the last council meeting, you stated that whenever anyone says that Labour's increase in national insurance being a tax on working people, it's a quote, fabrication. Since the last meeting, I've been going around nurseries for my daughter, all of which have quoted to me that they will be increasing their fees for the next financial year due to, and they always cite, national insurance. I have family members who run food and drink industries who are very worried for the next year, who all say that they're going to have to increase their cost on customers due to national insurance. And on the 31st of October, even Rachel Reeves admitted that people are likely to see lower pay rises due to tax increases. With higher childcare costs, higher food costs and lower pay rises, do you still genuinely believe that national insurance isn't a tax on working people?
Councillor Farnworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor King, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that is in relation to my portfolio. I don't see what that statement was in relation to my portfolio, so I'd decline to answer that question.
Okay, do you want to come back?
It's funny that you say that, actually, because exactly the same is going on in terms of your event fundraising. We have a number of people who work for a couple of different companies that actually provide directly into South Ribble who are also quoting exactly the same thing. Event companies all across the country are having troubles. Just recently, myself and Councillor Hunter were discussing the impact on the council for our leisure centres. So when our leisure centres are being battered, where the events companies are being battered, which directly have a knock-on effect to your portfolio and reduces the amount of stuff that you can do you believe that that does not impact your portfolio? And do you not think those costs will eventually hit the public?
Councillor Palmer.
Thanks for your second question, Councillor King. I'd welcome any companies who are directly impacted by the national insurance business raise to write to me directly and to contact me directly. I'd be more than welcome to speak to them.
Okay, thank you for that. Got any members of the public? No. Okay. Can I move on to questions for Cabinet Member Leisure and Wellbeing, Councillor Claire Hunter? Councillor Karen Walton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would the Cabinet Member agree with me that the impact of the increase in the employers' national insurance contributions will have an extremely negative impact? Don't like being laughed at, thank you. Were you not? Well, you were laughing at something I said, I think. We will have an extremely negative impact on the health and well-being of our residents in South Ribble. An amendment to the National Insurance Contributions Bill, pressing the government to allow ministers to introduce exemptions to the bill for health and social care the sector services, including all adult and children's hospices, care homes, GP surgeries, dentists, pharmacies, children's nurseries, pharmacies and charities. 302 MPs, including the MP for South Ribble and Ribble Valley, voted to reject the introduction of exemptions, which will ultimately cause major funding issues highlighted by Macmillan Cancer Care and will have a considerable effect on end-of-life care, as difficult financial decisions will have to be made. The imposition of imposing such a tax on our valuable essential services will have a serious detrimental effect on the lives of our residents in South Ribble at a time when it's most needed. Can the Cabinet Member confirm that she will keep all members informed of any proposed strategies that the Council will be undertaking to help reduce the serious impact of this tax on the essential services and the health and well-being of all our residents as we are able to by the Council?
Councillor Hunter.
So that quickly. Yes, I will keep you informed. Yes, it is a big bit, £64,000. We have factored that in. As you know, we're doing a complete revamp of the leisure centres. We're doing a complete staff overview. We're doing absolutely everything. So yes, if we came to a problem, I will keep you informed.
Thank you for that. Councillor Damien Bredesen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resident contacted me recently and to point out that when they bought a bottle of water from a vending machine, they quoted a figure of £5, which I thought was quite substantial. I'm just wondering if we've got vending machines at the leisure centres, does the council operate those, or are they third-party vendors? And if they are third-party vendors, are we monitoring the prices that they charge to make sure that our residents are not being overcharged? Thank you.
Councillor Hunter.
Hinted at, because I think £5. I think basically it is our South Ribble Leisure that run the vending machines and also use the prices. Now, if it is £5, I definitely will look into it and come back to you, but I can't see it being £5.
Councillor David Howarth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resident asked me whether the leisure centres actually have taps, and is the water that comes out of them drinkable?
Councillor Hunter.
I'm going to find that out for you, but I'm going to presume so. I'll let you know.
Okay. Any questions from members of the public? No, thank you. Questions for Cabinet Member Environment and Street Scene, Councillor Kath Unsworth. Councillor Karen Walsall, just bear with me a sec.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems to be a recurring theme tonight. Could I ask the Cabinet member the rationale behind the reason why I cannot renew my garden waste collection subscription until the 1st of April 2024, when the existing subscription ends on the 31st of March, and a new label usually takes about 10 days to arrive, so it may impact on my brown bin collection in April. I've always previously been able to renew my subscription in March, but going on the website, which took me a long time to find, it was, I can't renew it till the 1st of March. Sorry. Oh.
To respond to Councillor Unsworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Am I on? Yeah, sorry. I've no idea, Councillor Walton, but I will find out. Thank you.
She's no idea. Okay, thank you for that. Can we have Councillor Angela Turner?
Councillor Unsworth, a question for you. More and more I've noticed, I actually use Penwitham and Leyland Gym, can I say, two excellent centres to go to, and great staff who work there, and so just for that feedback anyway. I'm looking forward to the refurbishments, of course. What I've noticed more and more though, outside, particularly Penwitham Gym, is people parking up and having the car engines running. And this is a genuine question. I don't know what authority the council may have over that, or whether it's a criminal offence or whether it's not an offence at all, because obviously this is damaging the environment and reducing air quality, and in particular with Penwitham Leisure Centre, it's around a couple of schools. So I don't know if you actually know that or not, but I would like to know, because maybe I can tell these people that they're committing a crime. Thank you.
Councillor Unsworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for raising that. Yeah, it is an important issue. It does happen a lot outside schools. The short answer is I don't know either, but I will find out and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions from members of the council. Any members of the public? No, so thank you. Look, we're going on the agenda to any other business, and I don't have any other business. So I have no urgent items, and so I'm now declaring the meeting closed. So thank you very much and good night to you all.